She is the author of Captain Marvel and Pretty Deadly, among other things. She's done a lot of really cool stuff. Please welcome out Kelly Sue DeConnick!
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
That is a Red Bullish introduction.
Yes. It's way past my bedtime. So I had 3 cups of coffee and one of these. So this should be fun.
I am excited about it.
Good, me too. I'm excited about everything right now.
You are also doing this on your anniversary, which I appreciate so much. It's very romantic that you're here to share your anniversary with us. 13?
13 years.
13
yes.
years.
Yes. My husband is up there and he's wearing a suit and tie and he looks fabulous.
Yeah?
So yeah, we're like Danny Zuko and Sandy at the end of Grease.
Except one of you is really tired and the other one is really awake.
Tell me about it, stud. That's a reference for really old people like me.
So you do a lot of cool stuff, and you've been the Captain Marvel reinvention that you've been a part of has been okay. Good. Is been a huge success. But what I'm really interested, I want to talk to you about Pretty Deadly, because that's yours more than Captain Marvel, right?
It is, yes.
So
entirely, and Captain Marvel is not mine at all.
Yeah,
that belongs to Marvel. They won't let me have it.
Even though, well, okay, so without we don't have to say anything bad about your employer, but tell me about Pretty Deadly. Tell me the story about that book. Tell me how that came about, and tell us for those of you who don't know, tell us a little bit about the book.
It's really weird. It's a Western, and there's a talking crow and a girl that was born in a river of blood, and there's a lady who turns into butterflies.
When she gets stabbed, not just like all the time.
No, that's how she dies, sort of.
Right.
Yeah,
So there is a
when she
correlation.
loses her form, she turns into butterflies. Every character in it has an animal, kind of a alternate version of themselves, and hers is butterflies.
You're already getting at one of the things that's really interesting about this book, which is that it is a Western, but it's also just steeped in this mythology and magic.
It's a mythic Western.
So here's what I want to know. How do you go about writing something that is that big, for lack of a better word?
It's hard.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was... that was actually that's... The thing about it was that I kept trying to grow the world. Grow the world was kind of the watchword as we were working on it. Was like that. It feels like you got dropped into the middle of something that was already ongoing.
Definitely. And
I know it's a little disorienting. It's not a great book for people. Don't like it or the people that I work for don't like it when I say like, oh, it's not a great book for. They're like, no, that's not how you sell your work. But so I'm bad.
But this
I have
is
to work
your
on
book,
that.
so you
but
can,
it's
you
my
can sell
it's
it
my
however you
book,
want.
But it's not. It isn't. It like for your first comic.
Yeah.
It's not a great book for your first comic. You should start with like Archie. You know.
I can understand that, and I'm a relative novice with comics, but it's so beautiful, and it's
gorgeous. It is really, really beautiful. The artist is a woman named Emma Rios, and right?
Yeah.
She's amazing, and so it is extraordinarily beautiful, and it's she like for a hobby, Emma is like a medieval sword fighter. That's a thing that she does.
like LARPing.
No,
like with
like
the duct tape swords?
No, like competitively, like men and women compete against each other. They don't separate it, and so she'll talk about how like, well, I'm small, so I'm fighting this big man, so I have to be really fast. And I'm like, wait, with swords? Like really?
And she is. You guys are like going back and forth with the inspiration on this, right? You're meeting with her, and you guys are both tossing ideas.
She lives in Spain, so we don't meet very often, but.
Right.
But yeah, it goes back and forth. We write this book. It feels like we write this book.
Yeah.
We do this book a scene at a time, which is kind of unusual in comics. Usually it's like a full script at a time, so a full issue at a time. But we do this one. I write a scene, and then she pencils the scene, and then then she sends me the pencils, and while she's working on the inks, then I write the next scene, and that allows the work to be. Her art influences my writing a lot more than would work when you do a script at a time.
That, like, when you read it, that makes so much sense. I can see that, and it does feel like the script is in dialogue with the images as it's going.
Yeah.
Did you guys? So you said that's not really common in comics. Did you guys come up with that idea, or did it sort of happen as you were working together?
Yeah, we came up with that idea, but we came up with that idea because I'm fucking slow. We came up with that idea because we had to.
I mean, presumably.
But then it became no. This is part of our process now. So
I mean that really is true of a lot of great artistic works, where the thing that you can't but do becomes one of your strengths, right? Like South Park's terrible animation became part of their ethos as they got better.
Let's go with that.
You started this as a huge mythic underworld story, or you started as a Western story and that stuff came into it?
No, we started it as like a straight up. It was going to be a spaghetti Western. In fact, it was going to be about. It was going to be about a sharpshooter, Death-Faced Jenny, who's sort of the main Reaper in the story. That was going to be makeup, the death face.
Instead of an actual skull for a head.
Instead of an actual, it's a tattoo actually, but.
Okay.
Well, yeah, no, but death has a skull for a head.
Okay, great.
But Death-Faced Jenny, since death is her daddy, she has But
it's like 80% comprehension.
It's cool. It's all right.
Normally, not just in this comic.
No. That's good for this comic. That's really good. Like, read it like 2-3 more times. And then
I will.
Yeah. But no. So it was gonna be that Death-Faced Jenny would be the one in the front of one of those touring Wild West shows. She would be the one that would like ride into town, a couple days in advance and like do her pew pew, And I'm gonna write that in the script too. Pew pew. And impress and scare everybody with her death face, and then we would watch. When I was telling Emma about the story, I kept trying to, for some reason, I kept just drawing on a piece of paper. I was like, it's shaped like this, and I kept drawing this upside down D. She's going west, and then we go back to the east, and you see, and she was just like. Yeah, and you could see the moment where she was like, "F it, I'm going."
Yeah,
and it happened.
I'm glad you said that because you actually mentioned that upside down D in the back of the books. One of the things that I think was really fascinating about this series is that you have an essay that you write in the back.
You read it in singles.
I did read it in singles.
Wow.
I was loaned a copy of all of the singles, and it's great. But so this is not in the volume.
It's not in the collected version.
Well. Definitely you should read it in singles then, because each one has an essay of the process and where you how the story unfolds. You told the story of you figuring this out and that D getting rid of that and how that changed. Was that something you were always going to do? Is tell the story of telling the story, or did that come about also as because
no? I had 5 pages to fill at the back of the book.
You are so lucky that every time you have a weakness, it's amazing.
Except for the one. Did you read the one in the back of 5? The one in the. Oh God, that one's so bad. So when it gets reprinted for in the Spanish version, they were like, "Do you have extra material?" And we're like, "Yes, we have extra material." And we're giving them pinups and everything. And I wouldn't give them one into 5. I'm like, that never happened. It's because it's so bad. It's like super pretentious. I was exhausted. I was writing it the night before we were going to press, and it's like the first arc is over, and thank you, and thanking all these people, and then seriously, it's thank you, dear reader. Most of all, thank you.
I mean, it does sound corny when you read it in that voice.
No, it's horrible. There's no good No.
Okay,
it was horrible.
Well, this is what I like about it is that this is your book, right? You own this story.
Yes.
And it felt like your ownership in the story, and we're getting to know you and care about you and this book in a way that you don't always get with creative works. And I thought that was it's an amazing decision that came out of the weirdest reason.
One of the things. The weirdness of that book and the way that it's dense. I like to think that you get your money's worth.
You do, yeah.
The thing about that is Emma and I were both coming out of doing Big Two comics, which I love. I absolutely love. And I'm very, Marvel comics have been very, very good to me.
Yeah.
But
And you to them.
yeah. But there's this thing where they make you explain everything as you go, as though the reader were super dumb.
Takes a lot of surprise away.
Yeah. It's like when people at the end of Serial Fiction write to you and they're like, "Yes, I have a question. What's gonna happen next?" Like, you're gonna buy the next book. Oh, sorry. Was that your next question? So, yeah.
Definitely not.
So,
So instead of telling us what we can expect in Arc 2, let's move on to another book that you're doing that also seems like it might be dense and interesting. Tell us about Bitch Planet.
It's about a planet full of bitches.
What draws your imagination to trashy genres?
So I really like exploitation movies, or I thought I did. I remembered really liking exploitation movies, and I wanted to do this book where all of these movies that I loved growing up that I thought were so viscerally rewarding, but are like problematic from a feminist perspective.
Yeah, maybe.
Little. I wanted to revisit them and sort of see if I could do one that I could get the same from like that moment.
But with morality that you agree with.
Yeah, but with like not because they do that thing where I'm sorry, am I?
No, you're perfect.
So
Let's get her another Red Bull, everybody. Okay. Can we get another, 3 of them, so we'll all be medicated together?
So they do this thing where they make this salacious situation on purpose, like so we can enjoy it in a lewd way,
like the cheerleaders are fighing or whatever. Yeah.
And then punish the fucking cheerleaders for it, right?
Right.
That's not fair. So, and feminism is about fairness. So I was trying to think about the shower scene, right? How do we do a shower scene in a feminist sci-fi women in prison exploitation film? And right, it's a good question.
Sort of what Orange is the New Black is trying to do, sort of like a bunch of broads in prison.
Yeah, only that's real-ish.
Yeah, it's real-ish.
What if we were on a planet?
I haven't actually watched it because I'm terrified that if I watch it, I'm gonna freeze up because I'm gonna be like, oh no, that's too similar.
It's not, but it's maybe they have a similar mission to you, but it's not gonna be that at all.
Yeah.
You're writing Bitch Planet, so that's different.
Mine is in space.
Yeah.
So there is that. But they're bitches, so they have that in common.
Still.
But yeah. So we have a white lady too, but.
Well, you got to make it accessible for.
Otherwise, this is going to start with, this is not for, and you wouldn't want to do that again.
Yeah.
So when do we expect Bitch Planet to come out?
December 10th.
December 10th at fine comic retailers near you.
Yeah, and if you're in Portland, and you probably are because you're here tonight, there are a lot of really good comic book stores here.
Support your local comic book shop. Go pick it up. We can also follow you at Kelly Sue.
At Kelly Sue.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to read Bitch Planet, and thank you for talking to us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Kelly Sue DeConnick!